All right, so get this. We're going deep on motivation today, like seriously deep. We're talking Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Classic.
Yeah, and we've got some choice excerpts. But the goal is you walk away knowing like how to be successful without reading the whole thing. And get this. Think and Grow Rich is based on a secret formula.
Oh, yeah. It's like a treasure map to success.
Exactly.
Andrew Carnegie, the steel guy, right?
Yeah.
He told Hill the secret, told him to test it out, and then like tell everybody. But Hill never actually says the formula in the book.
He doesn't.
Nope. It's like woven throughout, all the principles he talks about.
So we're like decoding it as we go.
Exactly.
Interesting. So it all starts with desire. Hill says it's like the starting point.
Yeah, the foundation of achievement.
Right.
He tells this story about Edwin Barnes, totally determined to work with Thomas Edison. Not for him, but with him, like as partners. Yeah. And Barnes, he like visualized it even when he was nowhere near Edison.
This guy, he even snuck onto a freight train just to get to Edison's lab. I mean, talk about commitment.
Right.
Makes you think about visualization,
It's powerful stuff.
It's almost like manifestation, but like way before that was a thing.
Definitely. Strong mental image shaping your actions.
Right.
But Hill, he doesn't stop there. He says you need plans, too. Concrete plans.
To make it real.
Exactly.
So like he used Henry Ford as an example.
Perfect example. Ford was obsessed with this one type of engine.
Oh, yeah.
And his engineers, they're like, nope, impossible.
Wow.
But Ford was so committed to the plan, he just like wouldn't give up.
So what'd he do?
He basically said, get it done, stay on it until you succeed. Doesn't matter how long it takes.
That's intense. It's like he could see the engine in his mind,
Yeah, that clarity, it fuels your determination.
Have you ever felt that? Like you had an idea so clear, you just knew it had to happen.
Definitely.
It's powerful.
It is. But even with the best plans, you're going to hit setbacks. And that's where persistence comes in. Hill's big on that.
Persistence.
He tells the story about R.U. Darby. This guy was mining for gold, right?
Okay.
And he stopped like 3 feet from striking it rich.
No.
Brutal. Years later, he saw this kid succeed where strong men failed just because the kid wouldn't quit. And Darby realized he gave up too easy.
That's rough.
So he adopted this mantra, I stopped 3 feet from gold, but I will never stop.
That's heavy. Makes you think, have you ever given up on something too soon? What could you achieve if you just, stuck with it?
It's a good question. And, individual effort's important, but Hill also talks about collaboration.
Okay.
He calls it the mastermind.
The mastermind.
Yeah, like a group of people all focused on the same goal.
Working together.
And guess who pops up again in this section?
Henry Ford.
Yep. His success, it really took off after he started hanging out with, Edison, Firestone, all these brilliant minds.
Playboy Dream Team.
Exactly. He knew that synergy, a group of like-minded people, it can create amazing results.
I like how Hill puts it. He says, men take on the nature and the habits and the power of thought of those with whom they associate in a spirit of sympathy and harmony.
Powerful stuff.
So it's more than just networking.
Way more. It's about alignment, shared vision.
Makes you think, who's in your mastermind? Who are you surrounding yourself with?
It's a good question to ask.
It is.
And even with a great network, you still need knowledge, skills.
Right, you got to have something to offer.
Exactly. And Hill, he's big on specialized knowledge.
Even back then.
Yeah, he even quotes this university official, Robert P. Moore. Moore was saying schools should guide students towards specific skills, the ones in demand.
Like be an expert in something.
Exactly. But Hill, he's also practical. He knows not everyone's going to traditional school.
Right.
So he talks about night schools, correspondence courses, stuff like that.
Makes sense.
He even gets into marketing your skills, which is super relevant today.
Oh, yeah.
How so? He tells this story about a mother who was determined to help her son get a specific job.
Okay.
So she made this detailed plan book outlining his skills, even suggesting how the company would benefit from hiring him.
Wow.
She knew how to present him as the solution.
That's smart.
It is. Makes you think, how are you showcasing your skills? Are you highlighting your value? It's all about strategy, showing how you can solve a need.
Right, you're the answer.
Exactly. But Hill, he doesn't just talk about practical stuff. He also gets into, the power of imagination.
Okay.
He calls it the sixth sense, but he means creative imagination, the ability to come up with new ideas.
I see.
And he says most people, they don't tap into that potential.
They don't.
Nope. They get stuck in routine, miss out on innovation.
I can see that.
So he tells this story, the enchanted kettle. A guy buys this old kettle, right? Comes with a secret formula, but it's not the formula that makes him rich. It's his belief in the kettle, his imagination. It's like Dr. Frank Gonzalez. This guy wanted to raise $1 million, right?
Yeah.
He visualized it, talked about it, and someone was so moved they donated the whole amount.
No way.
It's the power of belief. How often do we limit ourselves because we don't use our imagination?
True.
We should use it more. Now, get ready for this one. Hill's next principle. It's a little controversial.
What is it?
Sex transmutation.
Sex transmutation.
Yeah, but it's important to understand it in context. He's not talking about anything inappropriate.
Okay, good to know.
He's talking about channeling sexual energy. It's powerful, directing it toward other things, creative stuff, productive stuff.
Okay.
He noticed a lot of high achievers. They have this strong sexual energy, and a lot of them were inspired by a woman in their life.
Interesting.
He's saying that energy, you can direct it, use it to enhance your drive, your focus.
So not suppressing it, but transforming it.
Yeah, exactly. It's about harnessing that power, using it constructively. Makes you think about how you channel your own energy, right?
Yeah, for sure. Where's it going?
Good question. Now, Hill talks a lot about the good stuff, but he also talks about fear, the things that hold people back.
Fear, yeah.
He calls them the 6 basic fears. Fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death.
Wow, that covers a lot.
He goes deep on each one, explores where they come from, how they can paralyze us.
And he has stories about them, right?
Oh, yeah. He describes this experiment where they made people sick just by suggesting it.
Yeah.
He told them they looked unwell and they started feeling sick.
That's wild. It's all connected, the mind and body.
Exactly. And Hill, he says, to fight this fear, we need to focus on positive emotions, be grateful, use things like autosuggestion to reprogram our minds.
So switch from fear to empowerment.
Exactly. Focus on the good stuff, healthy habits.
I like that.
Now, there's another fear, a big one, especially for women, loss of love.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one.
Hill says it often comes from societal conditioning, gender roles. Historically, women were more reliant on men.
For security, yeah.
Right. It's a reminder that our fears, they're not always rational.
It makes sense.
So Hill encourages women to be self-reliant, financially independent, know their worth.
Choose love, not fear it.
Exactly. Now let's talk about old age.
Old age.
It's something we all deal with, right?
Yeah, eventually.
Hill connects this fear to how society views aging, like it's a decline physically and mentally.
We're afraid of becoming a burden.
Right. But Hill, he challenges that. He says aging can be about growth, wisdom, continuing to contribute.
I like that perspective.
Me too. He encourages people to stay active, find meaning, and embrace getting older.
Stay positive.
Exactly. And having a strong spiritual foundation, that can help too.
Yeah, brings peace.
It does. And finally, we get to the big one, the fear of death.
Oh, wow.
This one's been around forever.
It has.
Hill, he's practical about it. He knows it's inevitable, but he says accept it without dwelling on it.
Easier said than done.
It is. But he reminds us our bodies are temporary,
We're vessels.
Yeah, and death, it's just a transition.
To something else.
Right. And he says one way to overcome this fear is to live a life of purpose. When you focus on making a difference, leaving a legacy, death becomes less scary.
That makes sense.
It does. Now, we've talked a lot about fear, but he doesn't want us to be paralyzed.
Right.
He says fear, it's all in our minds.
We can control it.
He says we can choose how we respond, confront our fears, challenge our beliefs, be courageous.
So fear is normal, but it doesn't have to rule us.
Exactly. Choose faith over fear, take action.
Embrace the unknown.
That's it. Now, remember, we've been looking for that secret formula for success.
Yeah, the one Carnegie told Hill.
It's like a treasure map, right?
Each principle, a clue. We've talked about desire, persistence, the mastermind, facing our fears. But have you noticed something?
What's that?
It's been right there all along.
The secret.
It's not a magic formula or a quick fix.
It's not just one thing.
It's all of it, working together. Desire, belief, persistence, imagination, knowledge.
Fueled by passion, believing in yourself.
Mastering your mind, overcoming your fears, finding your people.
The secret is success doesn't just happen. You create it.
Through effort, faith, embracing the journey.
That's Think and Grow Rich.
The timeless message about achieving, creating, leaving your mark. And you know what's really relevant today?
What's that?
his ideas on personal branding.
Oh, yeah, that story about the mother and the plan book.
Exactly. It's like he knew about personal brands before they were even a thing.
He was ahead of his time.
Showing your value, standing out.
It's crucial today.
It is. We should dive deeper into that.
Let's do it. How to sell yourself, stand out from the crowd.
This next time.
Sounds good.
It's kind of crazy how he links fear and, not taking action. It's like when we're scared, we're stuck.
Totally. Fear keeps us small. And Hill, he breaks down each of those 6 fears, Starting with poverty, he says it's one of the most common ones, and the most damaging.
And he doesn't hold back, does he? He talks about how this fear comes from this primal instinct to take advantage of others. For money, I mean.
Yeah, it's scarcity brings out the worst in us. He says it comes from this scarcity mindset, thinking there's only so much to go around.
So we hoard resources, get jealous of others' success, and then, we hold ourselves back.
Exactly. We don't take risks because we think there's not enough to go around.
So then how do we break free from this fear of, not having enough?
Hill says, cultivate abundance. Believe there's enough for everyone, that there are tons of opportunities out there.
So shift from me versus them to, we're all in this together.
Exactly. And that takes faith, doesn't it? Faith in yourself and, the universe, that things can be better.
Right. Believing in possibilities.
Yeah. And he says faith is a powerful tool, It helps you overcome fear, any fear. It's about trusting that even when things are tough, you can find a way through.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah. Now, another fear that can really hold us back is the fear of criticism.
Oh, especially now with social media and everything. Everyone's a critic.
It's true. This fear makes us worry too much about what other people think. We end up people-pleasing, conforming, hiding who we really are.
We're so afraid of judgment we don't, share our talents.
Exactly. So how do we overcome that?
Good question.
Hill says, build your self-belief, know your worth, trust your gut, even if it goes against what others think.
So be yourself, even if it means standing out.
Exactly. Embrace your individuality, share your ideas, and realize not everyone's going to love it. And that's okay.
It's like having your own internal compass.
Exactly. And, criticism can actually be helpful if you use it right. Filter out the noise. Focus on the feedback that helps you grow.
So it's not about ignoring criticism. It's about, choosing what to listen to.
Right. Now, let's switch gears to a fear that can affect us physically. Fear of ill health.
Oh.
Hill, he gets really into the connection between our thoughts and our bodies. He even talks about this experiment where they made people sick just by telling them they looked unwell.
Whoa, really?
It's crazy, right? It shows how powerful our minds are. If we're always worried about getting sick, maybe we're actually making ourselves more vulnerable.
It's kind of scary, but it makes sense. So what can we do?
Hill says, focus on the good stuff. Be grateful. Use things like auto-suggestion to, retrain your brain to think healthy thoughts.
So focus on feeling good, taking care of yourself.
Exactly. Empowerment over fear. Now, this next one can be especially intense, particularly for women. Fear of losing love.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Hill, he says it's often rooted in, societal norms and gender roles. Historically, women have depended more on men,
For financial security, stuff like that.
Exactly. And it's a reminder that our fears, they aren't always based on logic.
They're influenced by our culture, our history.
Right. So Hill encourages women to be self-sufficient, build their own financial stability, know their own worth.
Choose partners based on respect, shared values.
Exactly. Love shouldn't be driven by fear.
Okay, let's move on to the fear of getting older.
Yeah.
Hill links this fear to how society sees aging as, a decline. Physically, mentally.
We're afraid of losing our independence, right?
Yeah, becoming a burden, facing the reality of, death.
It's like we're programmed to dread getting older instead of seeing it as a natural part of life.
Exactly. But Hill, he says we should see aging as a time for growth, for wisdom, for continuing to contribute.
I like that. It's about staying engaged, finding meaning.
Yeah, and he also talks about the importance of a strong spiritual foundation. It can bring peace and acceptance as we get older.
Makes sense.
And finally, we get to the biggest fear of all, death, the one we all try to avoid thinking about.
It's true. He tackles this one with a mix of, practicality and spirituality. He says death is a fact, but we shouldn't dwell on it.
Easier said than done, right?
It is. He reminds us our physical bodies are temporary.
Like vehicles for our souls.
Exactly. And death is just like a transition to another state of being.
A different way of existing.
Right. And he says one way to overcome this fear is to live a meaningful life. When you focus on making a difference, leaving a legacy, death becomes less scary.
Because you've made your mark.
Exactly. You've had an impact. Now, we've spent a lot of time talking about these fears, but Hill doesn't want us to be overwhelmed by them.
Right. He wants us to overcome them.
He believes fear in any form. It's all in our heads. We have the power to choose how we react.
So face our fears, challenge our limiting beliefs, be brave.
Exactly. Fear is natural, but it doesn't have to control us.
Choose faith over fear. Take action.
Embrace the unknown. Now remember, we've been searching for that secret formula for success that Carnegie told Hill about.
Yeah, the hidden treasure map.
Right. Each principle, a clue. We've talked about desire, persistence, the mastermind, facing our fears, but have you noticed something?
What's that?
The secret has been there all along.
Really?
It's not a magic trick or a shortcut.
It's not just one thing.
It's putting all the pieces together. Desire, belief, persistence, imagination, knowledge.
Driven by passion, believing in yourself.
Mastering your mind, overcoming fears, finding your tribe.
The secret is success is made, not found.
You create it through hard work, faith, embracing the ups and downs.
That's the heart of Think and Grow Rich, isn't it?
It is. It's a timeless message. It's about achieving, creating, leaving your mark on the world.
And his ideas on personal branding, they're so relevant today.
Oh, yeah. Remember that story about the mom who made a plan book for her son?
Totally. It's like he knew about personal branding before it was even a thing.
He was way ahead of his time.
It's all about showcasing your value, standing out.
It's essential these days.
It really is. We should dig into that more.
Definitely. Let's explore how Hill says to, sell yourself effectively. It's about knowing your strengths, presenting them in a way that connects with people.
So, we've talked about personal brands, but Hill was on this way back when. He called it marketing personal services.
Yeah, he saw that as the world was getting more specialized, you really had to know how to, present your skills. It's like he knew the gig economy was coming.
He even had, a whole process for making a brief of your qualifications, basically a resume, right?
Right, but what I thought was really interesting was, he said you got to position yourself as the solution.
Oh, I see. So it's not just listing what you've done, it's showing how you can solve someone's problem.
Yeah, research the employer, the client, figure out what they need, and then show them how you fit in.
So you're not just a candidate, you're the answer.
Exactly. And get this, he even suggests offering to work for free, for a bit, just to prove yourself.
Wow, that's a pretty big step.
Okay.
But I guess it shows you're serious.
Yeah, it takes the risk away for them. But Hill doesn't stop there. He says personal branding, it's not just about getting the job, it's about your reputation, your relationships.
So build a network, people who know you, trust you.
Exactly. He says keep those relationships strong. Always give more than you take.
Be a go-giver, not just a go-getter. I like that.
And it ties back to the mastermind, right? Having that support system.
It's all connected. Personal brand, network, working together.
And Hill always says, the world's changing, so we got to adapt, be flexible.
Stay curious, keep learning new stuff.
Right. So I think it's pretty clear, even though Hill wrote this book ages ago, it still applies today.
It's about the power of your thoughts, persistence, connecting with people. Timeless stuff.
And even though he doesn't tell us the secret directly, I think we found something even better.
We did.
It's not a secret, it's putting it all together. Desire, belief, persistence, imagination, knowledge.
Yeah, all driven by passion, believing in yourself.
Mastering your mind, facing your fears, finding your people.
So success isn't something you just stumble on, you got to build it.
Through hard work, through faith, through all the ups and downs.
That's Think and Grow Rich in a nutshell, right?
It is. It's about reaching your potential, making a difference, leaving your mark.
That's what it's all about.
It is. So as you go out there, remember, you have the power within you. Take care of your relationships and never, ever stop believing in yourself.
And maybe, just maybe, you'll find your own secret along the way.
You never know. That's it for this deep dive. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep thinking rich.